the promise for a long time, and she revealed that my father is going every day to worship Neelamadav. So now Vidyapati was very happy to know that, because the whole purpose of his visit was to find out where Neelamadav is. So then he again coaxed his wife to ask her father to take him along next day morning when he goes to worship. But when the father came to know, he was very upset. But somehow or the other, because of the daughter's constant pressure, he decided. But he said that I have only in one condition I'll take you. That I'll blindfold you so that you cannot see the way. You will not know which is the direction to go to Neelamadav. And after going there, of course, I'll remove the blindfold and you can take darshan. While coming back again, I'll blindfold you. So only on that condition, you're allowed to come. So he said, he agreed, yes, I'm ready to do that. But his wife was very intelligent. Lalita was a very intelligent woman. So she gave him some mustard seeds to carry. And told him that as you walk, you just sprinkle those mustard seeds on the way. And then, the reason is because mustard seeds sprout very quickly. Very quickly, as soon as the rains come, it sprouts up and forms the plants. So you will know exactly the way by following the mustard plants. So he followed that and he was sprinkling mustard seeds. He was walking. So he walked for many hours in the morning and finally he reached. And after reaching there, Vidyapati opened his blindfold and said that you wait here. I'll have to collect some materials for worship. You wait until that time and then you can take darshan. So he was waiting there. That spot was very beautiful, very, very beautiful place. There was a very beautiful pond there and very serene spot. So as he was waiting there, he saw on the branch of the tree there was a crow. And the crow just dropped and fell into the water, the pond. And as soon as the crow fell into the pond, it came out as a four-handed form of Vaikuntha. Just like in Vaikuntha, there are four-handed forms. Not only the Lord, but also the devotees staying in Vaikuntha also have the same form as the Lord, four-handed form. Many times you have seen pictures of the Lord's associates coming and, helping people, rescuing them, taking them back to Vaikuntha. So like that, so that is true. So he saw this, suddenly the crow developed a four-handed form and he went back to Vaikuntha. So this Vidyapati was astonished. And he also wanted to jump. He said, what is the use of my life? If I can get liberated by just jumping into this holy pond, then what is the point continuing my existence like this? But suddenly he remembered the instruction of his king, that the whole mission that he had come here was to find out where Neelamadav was and then report back to the king. Somehow or the other he was held back. And then by the time Vishwavasu came, he gathered all the paraphernalia for the worship. And then he took Vidyapati also inside, and there Vidyapati saw the beautiful form of Neelamadav, of Lord Vishnu's form standing and is carved from blue gemstone. Very, very beautiful form. Unfortunately, we don't have pictures of that form yet because the Lord is no more manifesting in that form. Right? But it was a very beautiful form as per the scriptures. So Padma Purana explains the beautiful forms of the form of the Lord. So in this way they worshipped nicely, and then at the end of the worship they were about to come back. That's when Lord spoke. The Lord spoke to Vishwavasu. And he said that, Vishwavasu, I am very, very happy with your worship, that all these years you have offered me worship very nicely. I am very happy. But now I have another plan. I want to be worshipped more opulently, not just in some corner of some forest in some mountain where nobody else comes, only few people have access to. That is not the way. I want to be worshipped opulently, and I should be more accessible to everyone. Right now I am not accessible to most people. So that is my idea. So you will not be able to offer me worship in this form anymore. I am not going to appear in this form anymore, but I'll appear soon in another form. That's all he said, and Vishwavasu, as soon as he heard this, he was completely, he was so overtaken by grief because he was feeling the separation from the Lord. All these years he was worshipping, and he was kind of feeling that the Lord is exclusive to him. That kind of feeling comes sometimes, right? When you so close to the deities, you feel that no, only I should worship. That kind of feeling comes sometimes. So Vishwavasu also had that kind of feeling, and he started thinking that it's only after this Vidyapati came all this happened. Until this time, there was no problem. Ever since this person, my son-in-law, came, all these difficulties. So he could kind of foresee that there's some problems he's going to cause. So anyway, he was not very happy with Vidyapati, but nevertheless he was a son-in-law, so he just brought him back home, and they had some arguments, some fights. The Nalita was there to reconcile both of them, and somehow that continued for a while. And then Vidyapati now was thinking that I have to go back, right? Because he found the place, he found the deity, and had to go back and report to the king. So he told Lalita that I have to go back now, but I'll come back later. And Vishwavasu also was not very happy because he could see that now things are going to be difficult for him. But anyway, he had no choice. So Vidyapati came back to Avantipur, and he reported everything to the king. The king was so ecstatic, he was so excited to hear about that finally my lord has been found, and he said, let's all go now. Let's all go to Niladri, Nilachala mountain, and take darshan of the Lord. So they all started, not only the king and the ministers, but the whole citizens. Can you imagine the whole kingdom? They started on a journey, on a pilgrimage journey. So you can imagine there'll be like millions of people at one stretch. They're going, like a caravan. They were going and to this from Avanti to Nilachal. So again, over many days and weeks, they reached finally the shore of the ocean and the base of the mountain. And there they were preparing themselves to go and see the Lord Nilamadav. And suddenly they heard Akashvani that, the Lord said, I'm very sorry, Indradyumna, you won't be able to see me anymore in this form. So can you imagine all these years waiting to take darshan of this beautiful form, and after traveling so many days and months, coming to this place, just coming to know and then hearing that you won't be able to see me anymore. How would a devotee feel? Naturally he was dejected, but then devotees, being devotees, they always see the hand of the Lord. They always see that behind all of this there is a bigger plan of the Lord. It takes a lot of maturity and devotional practice to be able to tolerate this kind of difficulties in your spiritual journey. Many times we think that things should go according to our plan, and you always expect that if I'm doing this, this should be the result, right? That's how normally we do, right? Normally we think everything from a material perspective. But the devotees always have a spiritual perspective. They always are completely dependent on the Lord. Whatever the Lord wants to do, let him do. But I simply surrender to his wish, to his will. So that should be the mood of a devotee, that whatever the Lord's plan is, I accept. Because the Lord is also testing our devotion. Through these kind of life experiences, he is testing our devotion, right? But Indradyumna Maharaj, of course, was a great devotee. So somehow or the other, even though he felt dejected, but he could somehow or the other see the plan of the Lord. And there also Narada Muni came. Narada Muni also came at that time, because whenever devotees are in difficulty, other devotees come and help. They support. That's how a community of devotees live together. So Narada Muni came, and Narada Muni, of course, being the all-knowing devotee, he told the plan of the Lord is that the Lord wants to be worshipped in a different form, and very soon he will manifest that form. You just be patient and wait for his instructions. So the night when they were all sleeping, so in between Vishwavasu and the king, they also had a fight, because they were started blaming each other that because of you he has vanished. Vishwavasu said, no, because of you I was worshipping all these years. Because you came now, the Lord doesn't want to be worshipped anymore, so he has left. So these kind of things were going on between them, devotees. But nevertheless, after Narada Muni came, things were settled, and then they all retired for the night. And then in the dream of Indradyumna Maharaj, the Lord came and said that, Indradyumna, I'm very happy with your devotion. Don't worry, very, very soon you will see me in another form, because I want to be worshipped in a different form. So what happens is, in a day, so Brahmaji, the creator of this universe, he lives for 100 years. And his 100 years is a long period of time according to our calculation. It's like trillions of years. So right now, Brahmaji's age is 50 years. So he lives for 100 years, so half of his age is complete. The next half of his life has just started. So 51st year started. So first 50 years, the Lord was visible in the form of Nilamadav. And for the next 50 years of Brahma, he'll be visible in another form, and that form is Lord Jagannath. So Lord Jagannath is not different from Nilamadav, or he's Krishna himself. So that is the Lord's plan, that now he will be visible in the form of Jagannath to receive the to give his mercy to all the devotees and to receive the service and worship in a more accessible form. That anybody, even Rath Yatra time, in 2 weeks, in 10 days time, there is Rath Yatra. So Rath Yatra, we know that anybody and everybody can come and take darshan of the Lord. And they can offer worship. It's not restricted to anyone. That's the greatness of Jagannath, that he is easily accessible to everyone. If people cannot come to him, he will come outside and give darshan. You will not find a Lord so merciful that he is not asking devotees to come to the temple to take darshan. He is coming out himself on the streets, on the roads. And Srila Prabhupada, by starting this movement, he is not only restricted to India, but taken Jagannath outside of India to all different parts of the world. In Singapore also, every year we used to have a Rath Yatra until COVID time. And of course, after that, there are some restrictions. So last year we had, but this year, so far, we haven't got any, because here we have some restrictions, right? We can't do it anywhere. We have to book a stadium, and stadiums are sometimes not available. So there are some constraints, but nevertheless, as and when there is an opportunity, we also had Rath Yatra in Singapore every year consistently until COVID, and then last year we had after the COVID gap. But anyway, if you go to India, I'm sure in your respective towns and cities, you might have heard of Rath Yatra. So every year now, as per the ISKCON temples, on the actual day of Jagannath Rath Yatra in Puri, there is also the ISKCON's Rath Yatra in different places. Right? So it's a very famous festival. It's an opportunity for devotees to come and take darshan. There's a lot of prasadam. Everything is there, nice kirtan. It's a very, very joyous festival. So all of that history is now, the Lord is going to create that history through this pastime. So the Lord told Indradyumna Maharaj that I will be worshipped in a different form, and very soon you will get a big log of wood floating in the ocean. You take that log of wood and then carve deity form, and you'll find some carpenter. He will come there. So the Lord will arrange everything. He will come there and he will carve the beautiful forms that you can worship. So Jagannath is actually made of wood, carved from wood. That's why he's known as Daru Brahma. Daru in Sanskrit means wood. So Daru Brahma. Because there are many forms that are authorized forms in the scriptures where the Lord can be worshipped in different forms, like wood, metal, jewel. You can even make form of sand. Devotees make form of sand and worship. There are different authorized forms by which you can worship the Lord. The Lord is very accessible to us. Otherwise, we cannot see the Lord, right? Through our material vision. So in this way, the Lord came in the dream, and the next day, for sure, they found this huge log of wood, which was so heavy that it required some 50-60 people to carry the log of wood. So they all came together, Vishwavasu and his people, Vidyapati, then the king and his soldiers, everybody came. They all carried the log of wood and brought it to the shore. And then they were waiting for this carpenter to come, and sure enough, a carpenter came there because the Lord has arranged, and this carpenter was none other than Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma, we know, right? In India, we do this Vishwakarma Puja, Ayudha Puja we do, in South India especially. So that is to honor Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma is a great architect, and he designs such beautiful things. So he came personally by the Lord's arrangement, and he gave a condition that I will carve this beautiful forms, but I have very strict conditions that when I'm carving these forms, nobody will disturb me. And he needs a secluded place, a room where he will sit inside and carve, and nobody should disturb him. And if somebody tries to go inside and see, then he will leave immediately. He will not do the task will be unfinished. Right? So those are the conditions. So sure enough, he started working, and he was he came in a very old man's form. So he was carving the wood. So initially, first few days, they could hear the sound of, tuck, tuck, all this carving carpentry sounds they could hear from outside. And after 10 days or so, the sound stopped coming. No more sound. So the king's wife, her name is Gundicha Devi, Indradyumna Maharaj's wife. So she was very worried, saying that he's an old person, maybe he has fallen unconscious, he's not eaten or had water. She was very worried, what happens if she dies midway, then the work will be unfinished, and how will we worship the Lord? Because there are very strict rules and regulations of worship, right? When you carve the forms have to be complete. according to Shastra. Only then you can install the forms and worship. So if the forms are not finished, then how will you worship? That's a big problem. So she was very worried, and she told the king that you please go and check. Although he has told us not to go, but please go and check. What if he's dead or something? He's old person. And then the king could not, had to listen. And then finally he went inside, and as he had promised, he had already left because he opened the door, right, without telling, without finishing the work. But there he saw these three forms of wood that have been carved, and to him they looked incomplete. If you see Jagannath's form, his face, the eyes are very big, his hands are like this, not fully developed hands, legs you cannot see, right? And so externally you may find that how can you worship a form that is incomplete, that is offense, that is not proper worship, right? So how can you worship like that? But there is a reason behind that. But the king did not know at that time. So again the king was saying, what have I done? What offense have I committed now? After all of these things, after all of coming here all the way from my kingdom, then not able to take darshan of Nilamadhav, then the Lord instructing me to carve these forms, and I have, because of my offense, the forms also have not been carved fully. So now what to do? So he was thinking like that. Then suddenly Narada Muni came again. Narada Muni appeared there. And Narada Muni said that there is a reason behind these forms. Don't think they are incomplete. So then he explained the reason why the Lord manifested this form. So many years ago when Krishna had appeared in Dwapara Yuga, 5,000 years back, right, when Krishna appeared, we know that Krishna lived in Vrindavan. So after as soon as he was born in the jail of Mathura, in Kamsa's jail, he was transferred, Nanda Maharaj transferred him to Gokul, Vrindavan, right, as a child. And then the first 11, 12 years of his life, his childhood, he lived in Vrindavan. Then after that he came to Mathura, and then he created the city of Dwaraka. So the rest of the 110 years or so he lived in Mathura and Dwaraka. But even though he lived in Vrindavan for the first 10, 11 years, he was very, very attached to the devotees of Vrindavan. Because Vrindavan devotees, I'm sure if you've gone to Vrindavan, you'll see the mood of devotees is very different there. Right? They're always chanting Krishna's names, Radhe Radhe, Krishna Krishna. Mostly they chant Radhe's name, Radharani's name, because they're all devotees of Radharani. Right? So they're always chanting Krishna's names, always remembering Krishna. So that is the mood of the devotees of Vrindavan. And Krishna is always very attached to the devotees of Vrindavan specifically. Even when he was in Mathura and Dwaraka, suddenly in the sleep he would take the name of Radha, Lalita, Vishakha, and some Gopa's friends, Sridhama, Madhumangal, like this. He will take the names of all of his friends because he was constantly thinking about them. As they were thinking of Krishna, Krishna also was thinking about them always. So the wives of Krishna and all the other devotees in Dwaraka, they were thinking, who are these people? We are also serving Krishna very nicely. Every day and night we are serving him very nicely, but he's taking the names of some people whom we don't know about. So they were very curious because they were not aware of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So they all went to ask Mother Rohini. Mother Rohini is the mother of Balram. And Mother Rohini also was in Vrindavan when Krishna and Balram were growing up. The first 10, 11 years, she was there along with Mother Yashoda, and she saw all the beautiful pastimes of the Lord in his childhood form. So she knew everything about the childhood pastimes of Krishna. So they were all asking very eagerly that Mother Rohini, please tell us. We also want to hear about what is so special about Vrindavan. She said, yes, I'll definitely tell you the pastimes of Krishna in his childhood. But I have one condition, that Krishna and Balram should not hear these pastimes. You make sure that they don't, when I'm telling you, they're not here anywhere. They should not be here. Because if they hear the pastimes, they will also be lost. They'll also become ecstatic, hearing their own pastimes. As it is, Krishna is missing Vrindavan. Now if we talk about his Vrindavan pastimes, he will be lost. Then he won't be able to do his duties here in Dwaraka as a king. So make sure that they are not here. So they decided to post Subhadra, their sister, as a security guard outside. And inside the palace room, they were all gathered, all the 16,108 wives of Krishna. They were all gathered inside, and Mother Rohini started talking about Krishna's pastimes. And as she started, they were all so absorbed in that pastimes, so they completely lost their external consciousness. Subhadra Mai, who was standing outside, she also was hearing from inside what is going on. And she also became very, very ecstatic hearing this. So when you become ecstatic, I don't know whether you've experienced sometimes the symptoms like your hair start to raise, sometimes your body starts shivering. We don't have experience of this, but materially speaking, we have experienced it sometimes, right? Whether it is happiness or distress, sometimes your body reacts like that. Your body starts to shiver. Of course, the tears will come out. Hairs on the body will stand on end. So like this, in spiritual symptoms also, there are defined symptoms of ecstasy, in spiritual ecstasy. So like this, she started developing the spiritual symptoms of ecstasy. One of which was the eyes became very big. The hands started getting drawn inside, withdrawn. The hands and limbs of the hands, legs, they all started getting withdrawn inside. So you can imagine how it will be. Very difficult to explain, but you can imagine when the legs and hands are withdrawn inside the limbs, how it will look like, and the eyes become huge. So Subhadra Mai started manifesting those symptoms, and she had no external consciousness what is going on. Suddenly Krishna and Balram came, so she didn't notice them. And they came and they stood next to her. So on one side Balramji and one side Krishna. And they started hearing also. And when they started hearing, they also developed these ecstatic symptoms. So Krishna's hands also started getting withdrawn, Balram's hands withdrawn, his legs also were withdrawn, eyes became very big. And like this they were standing, and immediately Narada Muni came there. Narada Muni, is always there everywhere. So Narada Muni came and he saw this beautiful form, and as soon as Krishna and Balram saw Narada Muni, they came back to external consciousness. And they said, okay, now we have to come back to the original form. But Narada Muni said, I have seen this beautiful form now. You cannot hide this anymore. So he prayed to Krishna and Balram saying that please make this form visible to everyone. Let this ecstatic form of yours be accessible to everyone. Why should only I see and enjoy? So that is the mood of a devotee, that he wants to share the bliss with everyone. Right? So Narada Muni requested, and the Lord had to, the Lord always follows the words of his devotees. He obeys his devotees. Because the devotees always obey Krishna. And Krishna also likes to obey his devotees. So Krishna agreed, and that's how these three beautiful forms were manifested in that place where Vishwakarma was carving the forms. So no way the forms are incomplete. It is exactly the form that Krishna had shown, Krishna, Balram and Subhadra had displayed at that day to Narada Muni. So it is the same form that today we are fortunately worshipping also. In Jagannath Puri, if you go and wherever you find Jagannath deities in all over the world, in India and abroad, in Singapore also, on our center we have beautiful forms of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. So next time when you come and take darshan, please remember this beautiful pastime of how Krishna, Balram and Subhadra, they were absorbed in their own pastimes, childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, and they manifested this beautiful form. So this very same forms are available for us to take darshan and worship and remember this beautiful pastime. So in this way the forms were carved and the date was fixed to install them, to worship them in the temple. So Indradyumna Maharaj made all the arrangements, and he wanted Lord Brahma to come and officiate the ceremony as a chief guest. So naturally we know that Brahmaji is living in a different planet. He's not living in the earth planet. And the time scale we have discussed, time scale is different there, time scale is different here. Right? So he went along with Narada Muni to invite Lord Brahma. So when he went there, Lord Brahma was busy with something. So he had to wait for a few minutes outside his door. And after that, he met Lord Brahma, he invited. But what happened during those few minutes? So few minutes there is like thousands and thousands of years here. Right? So when he went and came back, many ages, yugas had already passed. So many yuga cycles like Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali, everybody, so whoever was there at that time, they all left. And the new set of people were there, Generations after that had come, and somebody else was the king now. So when Indradyumna Maharaj came, he was surprised to see what has happened. Then they were asking, who are you? We have never seen you before. So then he could not convince them also, because it was such a long time back. So there was a crow called Kaka Pushandi there, and that crow was a very, very old crow. He was there from the time of Satya Yuga. So he told that this is Indradyumna Maharaj and what he's saying is correct. So he kind of gave evidence that yes, this is Indradyumna Maharaj. Then the others also understood that, yes, we have heard about you many, many years ago from our great grandfathers and all this, our ancestors. So they realized, and then now Indradumna Maharaj said, we cannot stop the ceremony. We have to officiate the ceremony and install the deities. So they all agreed and they made arrangements. Then Brahmaji came, then he officiated the whole ceremony. So, and then the beautiful form of the Lord, the Nrsingadev. So normally what happens in our Vishnu temples or Krishna temples is that always to mark the beginning of anything auspicious, we always worship Lord Nrsingadev, Narasimha. So today if you go to Jagannath Puri, so Jagannath Puri, the Rath Yatra starts from the main temple door entrance and goes all the way to Gundicha temple. So it's about few kilometers, 3 or 4 kilometers away from the main temple. So the Rath Yatra always starts from there, goes all the way to Gundicha temple, and the Lord stays there for a few days and then returns back to the main temple. So near Gundicha temple, so it's said that Krishna is going from Dwaraka to Vrindavan. So Gundicha temple represents Vrindavan and the main temple represents Dwaraka. Right? So the devotees are taking Krishna from Dwaraka to, the Vrindavan Vasis are taking Krishna from Dwaraka to Vrindavan. So near Gundicha temple, there is an old temple of Nrsingadev. So if you have gone to Jagannath Puri, if you go to Gundicha, next to that, outside the main entrance, there is a Nrsimhadev temple and is older than Jagannath also. Very old temple. So during the installation, he was the one who first manifested. Then he made everything auspicious, the whole thing. So Nrsimhadev is very important in our worship, in our movement where we always seek blessings of Nrsingadev so that he removes all the impediments in our devotional path, and a spiritual path. So this way, the whole ceremony happened very nicely, and Indradumna Maharaj also, the Jagannath was also very happy, and he asked the king that you can ask for 3 benedictions. Whatever you want, I'm very happy. I'll give you the benedictions. So the king, surprisingly, the first benediction he asked was, he said that, I pray that I don't have any son. No, that was a benediction he asked. A very strange benediction, isn't it? Normally what we do, as I said earlier, that if we always worship, first thing is we ask for something for ourselves, right? Because we assume that we have done so much, so we expect something back, right? But the king was so great, he said that I don't want any son, that is my first benediction. So King Jagannath was very surprised. He said, why are you asking this benediction? He said, if I have a son, then he will claim that this temple is his. The family inheritance. He will claim that this temple belongs to him, that his son will claim. His son will claim. I don't want that. So very selfless service. So even today, the king who's appointed as a king in Orissa, he is not coming from a family lineage. There is a very special way of selecting the king. There is an elephant which takes a garland, and an elephant, whoever he puts a garland on, that person is considered the king, next king. So even today they follow the same process. And they say that the kings don't have sons. I mean, that's what I hear, but I don't know about that. So that was the first thing he asked. Second thing he asked was, my Lord, you should always give darshan throughout the day, 24 hours. That you should not sleep. It was a very difficult one for the Lord. Because as Mahavishnu is always in Yoga Nidra, no? If you go to temple South India, you'll find Mahavishnu, Ananta Padmanabha Swami, or in Srirangam, you'll find the Lord lying down peacefully, resting. But here the Lord has to be awake 24 hours. So 22 hours the Lord gives darshan to people like us, and 2 hours he gives darshan to demigods. So 2 hours they close it for us, we cannot go inside, but that time Brahmaji, Narada, all the heavenly demigods, they come and take darshan. So the Lord is very busy throughout. So he agreed for this benediction also. That the third benediction was the best thing. He said, the Lord, you should always keep eating. So this Jagannath was very happy, yes. This benediction I am all ready to give. So Jagannath Puri is always known for prasadam, Mahaprasad. Because they say that there are 4 dhams, right? 4 dham. Badrinath, the Lord wakes up, he performs his austerities in the morning. Then he goes to Dwaraka, he does his administrative duties. Then he comes to Jagannath Puri to take prasadam. And then he retires in the night at Rameshwar. So that's how his routine is. Jagannath Puri is known for Mahaprasadam. And today also if you go, there is non-stop supply of Mahaprasadam. There is just a place called Anand Bazaar outside the temple Anytime you can go, you can get prasadam. And Jagannath Mahaprasadam is very, 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 very famous, very, very special, very, very holy, very, very sanctified. Very sanctified. So devotees always, of course, take darshan and they get lots of prasadam there. And it is said, so the king asked Jagannath that your hands, after eating you wash your hands. Before it becomes dry, the next serving will come. So in a day there are so many offerings going on, Chappan Bhog and I don't know, Chappan times, how many times I don't know. Whole day the offerings continuously come. And the kitchen, and if you've seen the documentaries of Jagannath Puri kitchen, there are documentaries on YouTube where they will show you exactly how the system works. How they have special pots. There is a 3-layered pot, and the 3-layered pot, if you cook right, the topmost part gets cooked first. Even though the fire is at the lowermost part, the topmost part, the container gets cooked first, then the second, then the last. It's a very mystical way of the Lord. So like this, they prepare, and they use all very, very Vedic vegetables. They don't use any Western vegetables like ladyfinger, potato, all these things they don't use. Only very locally grown vegetables. But Jagannath, of course, Prabhupada has made it very, very special. Now devotees offer him pizza, pasta, nasi lemak, everywhere, all over the world. He gets all the local food of every place, every country. So Prabhupada has made it even more special. Jagannath can get everything wherever it is prepared by his mercy. So this is the greatness of Jagannath. So he gave the benediction, and the day that the Lord was installed, that is known as the Snana Purnima. So last Monday, we had the Snan Purnima festival in our center, and exactly 2 weeks later is a Rath Yatra festival. So after Snan Purnima in Jagannath Puri, the Lord does not give darshan, because after taking the bath, heavy dose of bath, that is once a year only it gets abhishek. Because the wooden forms, normally you don't do abhishek on a regular basis, right? So he gets, on this particular day, he gets heavy dose of, water, snan, so he falls sick after that. Normally when we also get exposed to water so much, we also fall sick. So Jagannath falls sick, he gets fever for 2 weeks from Snan Purnima until Rath Yatra. And there is a reason behind why the Lord falls sick. Because he wants to give, or he wants to receive service from his special devotees. So what happens is, in Jagannath Puri is a very, very strict, first of all, only Indians are allowed inside, Westerners are not allowed inside the temple. So that's the reason Prabhupada, he very mercifully brought Jagannath to the Western countries and all the places so that even the Westerners can come and take darshan. But in Puri itself, the Westerners cannot go in. And also the worship cannot be done by those who are not Brahmanas, right? The Brahmanical priests. So these strict rules are there. But we know that Vishwavasu and his descendants, they were tribals. They were not Brahmanas, right? They were the lower caste. So, and they also had an opportunity to worship. They also needed an opportunity to worship. So during these 2 weeks of time, after Snan Purnima until Rath Yatra, the descendants of Vishwavasu, they render very personal service to the Lord. And nobody else can do service at that time. So even the main Pandas, they call as Pandas in Puri, the Brahmana priests, they also not allowed during these 2 weeks. So only those Sabara tribe people who worship Jagannath, or descendants of Vishwavasu, only they are allowed to render very, very, very personal service. So when he falls sick, they prepare some medicinal herbs, they prepare some special hot drinks, and every day they would serve this to Jagannath. So, and they stay inside the temple compound only. They don't leave Jagannath for 2 weeks. Can you imagine how the Lord never forgets the service of his devotees? So Vishwavasu, whatever he did, the Lord remembered and made sure that his descendants will continue to get service. And these 2 periods, these 2 weeks is reserved for them. So we cannot go and take darshan 2 weeks. Nobody can take darshan, even the Pandas cannot go inside. Only these special devotees, they are allowed, and they stay inside the temple. They do render personal service to the Lord from morning till night for 2 weeks non-stop. Can you imagine the fortune and this service that the Lord so mercifully gives to his devotees? So in this way, whatever the Lord does, whatever pastimes he does, is only for the purpose of reciprocating with his devotees. And Jagannath is special because he specially reciprocates with his devotees. He has big, big eyes, and with his big eyes, he showers his mercy on all the devotees. So even if you cannot see, the Lord will see us through his big eyes. We just need to be in the vision of the Lord. So somehow or the other, we come in front of the Lord and offer obeisances, the Lord will definitely shower His mercy. That is the beautiful, merciful form of the Lord. And particularly for devotees of ISKCON, because we follow this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So we are called Gaudiya Vaishnavas because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came and he established this Gaudiya Vaishnava system. In Gaudiya Vaishnava system, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had very, very special affinity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Krishna, by the way. So he's also Krishna in a different form. So he had very special affinity for Lord Jagannath. He stayed 24 years in Jagannath Puri, and every day he would go and take darshan of Jagannath. Krishna is taking darshan of himself in a way, right? Krishna. So Jagannath was very, very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as follows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we also imbibe the same mood that we also are very, very attached to Lord Jagannath's worship. And Jagannath has a special place in all the devotees' hearts, and especially during Rath Yatra, devotees throng in numbers. I don't know, they say that it's not just this planet, people from demigods, from heavenly planets, they also come to take darshan. Otherwise, how can you explain millions and millions of people coming there? Millions of people gather there. And the road, if you see the road is very wide road. Very, very wide road from where the chariots travel. But still you will not find an inch of space there to stand. So from where are all these people coming? They all descend from different planets to take darshan, because in their planets they don't have access to this Lord Jagannath. It's only in Kali Yuga and only in Earth planet that he is giving this free access to everyone. So you have not had an opportunity to go to Jagannath Puri, please make sure to go. It's now there's a direct flight from here to Bhubaneswar. Very easy to go in the morning. You can go in the morning, take darshan, come back in a couple of days' time. Rath Yatra might be a bit difficult to go, it's a bit of a challenge because of the rush and all that. But during the rest of the time, you can go and take darshan. It's a very beautiful place, very beautiful, personal, very, very personal worship. And of course, there is no paucity of prasadam, is always there. So that's the greatness of Lord Jagannath, which I wanted to quickly share. Because now we should be remembering the Lord in his, during the Rath Yatra time, and remember how this whole process started. It is not some ritualistic thing, it is not some sentimental or emotional thing that people are following. There is a basis, there is a proper philosophy, there is an understanding behind all of this that we do. In Sanatana Dharma, everything is based on philosophical foundation. It is not just some ritualistic thing. So it's very important for us to understand this and also educate our children. Our children are even farther away from this culture because they've all grown up outside India. So it's very important as responsible parents that we give this culture to them and make them understand the greatness of our culture. So I'll stop here. Maybe if anybody has any. Yes.
It is beautiful what you explained. What is very interesting is the mood of the devotee. When God asks three things, what does the devotee say?
Yes.
If a normal human being is asked, he will ask for material something, he will ask for himself.
Yes.
So that is meaning it is a very different zone or feeling to be in.
Absolutely.
If God were to appear in front of us today, I think a lot of us will ask for first. If there are three, right? We know that one at least let's ask for ourselves, something like that.
Correct. You're absolutely right. So that is the mood we should cultivate. A devotee is only interested in serving the Lord. He has absolutely no interest for himself. Because that is even it is not an emotional or sentimental thing. Because the moment you surrender yourself everything to the Lord, right, the Lord will take care of everything. Actually, we ourselves are not capable of taking care of ourselves. But if we surrender ourselves to the Lord, He will take care of everything. And anyway, He is taking care. But it's just that we have to acknowledge that He is taking care, and then we simply have to serve. It's like a child going to the father. Right? The child does not ask a father for anything normally, right? Because he knows that the father will take care of everything. Correct? The child, when he approaches father, he knows that father is the best person to take care of him. So he doesn't have to explicitly ask anything. He simply says that let me serve you. So the devotee always prays for service. There should not be any impediment in the service. So that is the idea behind Indradyumna Maharaj's prayer that let me become that fully fixed. Let me not budge or deviate from this thought of worshipping you. Because material things, as you said rightly, only distract us from our focus. So thank you, Prabhu, for that.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
What is the significance of Rath Yatra?
Yeah.
When they explained
Yes.
about it, I think apart from inclusiveness, I wasn't
Yes.
engaged much.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think I missed that part. So thanks for reminding. So when Krishna was in, so remember we said Krishna after leaving Vrindavan, he never came back to Vrindavan. So he was in Dwarka. So when he was in Dwarka, there is a solar eclipse that happened. So solar eclipse, we know in our culture they do special prayers during that time, just to protect our consciousness, because this sun and moon movements actually affect our brain, our thinking, our mind. So always we should create a spiritual atmosphere during that time so that we are protected from unnecessary disturbances to the mind. So in our culture, they always do during solar eclipse, they do special puja on the bank of rivers. So Krishna also, from that time, he came from Dwarka to a place called Kurukshetra, where the battle of Mahabharata happened. So on the bank of the river, they all gathered and they were doing some prayers. So Vrindavan, all the Radharani and all the devotees of Krishna, they came to know that Krishna has come to Kurukshetra. So they all came from Vrindavan to Kurukshetra to meet Krishna, because they had not seen Krishna after Krishna left Vrindavan. And there was a special meeting of devotees, because Krishna was constantly thinking of Vrindavan, and the Vrindavan devotees were constantly remembering Krishna. So it was a great time for them to recollect all their activities in the past, and they were fondly remembering each other. And when they met, it was a great joyous moment. So in their hearts, they were inviting Krishna to come to Vrindavan. But Krishna was, of course, due to his other responsibilities, he could not physically go to Vrindavan. But in the heart of hearts, they were trying to pull Krishna's chariot and taking the chariot to Vrindavan. So Rath Yatra represents that pulling of the chariot by the devotees of Krishna. They were pulling from Dwarka or whichever place to Vrindavan, to their home. So for us, we are pulling Krishna into our heart. So when we pull the rope, physically it is pulling the rope, but internally it is inviting Krishna into our hearts. That is the significance of Rath Yatra. So very nice point you mentioned. I forgot this part. The significance of Rath Yatra is that we are pulling and inviting Krishna into our hearts. Thank you. Anybody else? Anything? Okay, now I request that we sing a bhajan that glorifies Jagannath. I've sent to Paramatma Prabhu.
Just sending in the group.
So there is this site where you can get the prayer or the bhajan. You put it here also.